but I think 7 progressives, Ro Khanna, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Pramila Jayapal, Mark Pocan, who's for Medicare for All. I think 7 is more than 4. And then you have 4 more joining that 7. You got Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, and Marie Newman that all ran on Medicare for All. And I know Cori Bush personally. So do the progressives in the House want to play ball, long-term ball, to get committee assignments and, you know...
They want to get invited to the DNC prom. They're just worried that they go to homecoming.
Right. I mean, listen, we could debate issues like I love Jimmy. I'm going on with him. I appreciate it. I don't agree with him on all things. I agree with him on force the vote. And I think progressives need to chill a little with the purity. Like, it's okay if you don't agree 1,000%. If you start moving away from, like, Medicare for All and progressive things, that's a different topic. But, you know, we're not children. We're not in high school. We don't need to rant and rave that we're all sellouts, that we don't agree 1,000%. I get in trouble with my audience that I'm not pure enough. But I think on this particular Iowa caucus story, it really depends on what are progressives and how are they going to act? How are they going to operate? Do they want to sit here and wax poetic about long-term movement building and organizing, or do they want to fucking battle? And let's add possibly Nina Turner joining that. So if they want to battle, then they should be ranting and raving about what I just reported from The Intercept, because for the future, we're not getting a progressive in the White House, no matter if we run better campaigns, if we have more grassroots support, if we have more volunteers, if we can compete financially. You're not getting it if it's rigged. So it really, you ask me what's going to happen, what I ask, I doubt she's watching, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, Pramila Jayapal, Mark Pocan, possibly Nina Turner, who I'm pretty sure I don't need to ask. I think she would be on top of this. Are you going to speak out on this? Are you going to demand a real investigation? Are we going to say we need a special counsel? Forget Mueller. We need a special counsel to investigate what, where, and when was the DNC doing during the Democratic primary. Biden ain't going to like it, but that's okay. So my answer is a lot of this depends on, are the progressive movement going to fight even if they won't get it passed right away? Like this whole force to vote thing that people are saying, we shouldn't do it because it won't pass right away. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't think Martin Luther King was like, let's not protest, it won't pass right away.
Like, the guy who stood in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square, like, what's his step 2? I don't know that I think it's a little too performative.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Oh, to answer your question, it's up to the progressives in Congress. Unfortunately, my answer is, then no. They're not going to speak up because they're worried about their committee assignments, and they don't want to rock the boat because we all know the civil rights movement was successful because black people waited until the South started treating them better, and then they protested, right? That's when protests always happen, when everything's going great. So right now, we're in the worst pandemic in 100 years. We're about to have the worst economic collapse, worse than the Depression. We're also on the brink of civil war. But those aren't two big things, so we'll wait until the committees and the assignments and the memo, and then we'll do ding, 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 ding.
Well, I don't think, I want to be clear. I don't think it's all up to them. I've been telling my audience, personally, I'm a white guy. I don't want to tell BLM leaders what to do. Like, obviously, it's their movement. But for the last 4 or 5 years, even before George Floyd, I've been out there covering these protests. And at a certain point, you need more than electoral politics, and you need more than bodies on the ground. Imagine, Graham, if that massive mass mobilization we had, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people around the country that were protesting after George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. Imagine if with their legs, with their signs, with their voices, they were also withholding their wallets from Amazon, corporate banks, fast food, Whole Foods. I could go down the list. It's not an easy thing to organize. Some people are poor, can only afford Walmart, can only afford, so we understand. But if it's not just electoral politics, it's not just pressuring these progressives who I think are, in many cases, proving to be paper tigers. But if we start organizing in terms of actual more than one-day boycotts of Amazon, It's not just Amazon, but you get my point.
Yeah.
To me, that's like, I told my audience, this is a great example. For a long time, the Washington football team was a Native American slur.
Yep.
The rich white owner said, over my dead body, am I changing the name? There was an economic mobilization to pressure FedEx and other sponsors.
Yep.
It got so hot that FedEx and other sponsors had to go to Dan Snyder and say, either change the name or we're pulling our money.
Yeah. That happened overnight, man. That was like, and when FedEx said, oh, we're pulling our $500 million licensing deal on FedEx Stadium, suddenly Dan Snyder didn't have a problem with the history of the Washington Redskins. And suddenly we got this Washington Football Club, the most generic thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But I've used that example too. And it's like, people need to really, there needs to just be a mass boycott. Or general
and it's all connected. It's all connected. I think you and I have spoken about it. In France, for example, the Yellow Vest movement, part of why that has been successful, and they actually got concessions from Macron, is they're not desperately afraid to lose their jobs because they have health care.
Yeah. So
if you lose your job in France or other European countries, it's not wonderful, right? But like you have basic security as a citizen. Here, it's part of the system. That's why they don't want Medicare for all. That's why they don't want to give you anything, because they know if you have a safety net under you, then people are going to get a lot more pissed off, Graham. People are going to get out onto the streets. Frankly, I'm not telling people to be violent, but it's inevitable. At a certain point, people can't take it anymore. And there's, right now, the ballpark, 50 million people without health care in this country. Not to mention however many more have insurance and can't afford to use it. So, I think that a lot of things need to happen at once. And frankly, with all due respect to AOC and these other people, they're talking like, well, we're not hearing this from official movement leaders. I don't. When did the progressive movement become a meritocracy, a special badge to get AOC's blessing on something? I mean, whatever. Jimmy's a YouTube host. He rants. He's angry. Whatever. But Jimmy has as much right as National Nurses United or whomever is the official movement group to demand these things. We could debate his approach. I think Jimmy has become too much of the topic rather than the idea. But I think we need.
Knock it the fuck
general
off!
strike's not going to happen overnight.
That's not his fault. That's all these people just couldn't admit, oh, this is a good idea.
Right.
So
now, let me tell you something. If Jank came up with the idea, these same people against it would be ducks in a row.
Absolutely. That's the problem. It's their little fragile ego, so they're not real progressives. They're not indie journalists. They're not real activists. They're just doing it to say, look at me, look at me, look at me, and at the end of the day, they wish they could all get MSNBC jobs. So it's like...
Well, some of them are.
Yeah.
I think Sam Cedar just joined the Peacock Network.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever. I'm not to me, I'm not interested in the high school bullshit. I just do my thing. I report on, with Jen, my co-founder. I don't particularly care to rant and rave against other people in our sandbox. I watch some of them. I don't watch others. I know it gets clicks to rant and rave against others, but to me, the most important thing is we have the power. We do have the power because, let me tell you something. I tell my audience all the time, we live in the United Corporations of America, Graham. It ain't Joe Biden making the decisions. It's Jeff Bezos. It's not Kamala Harris. It's Bill Walton. It's the Waltons. Yeah. It's not any of these people. They can only go as far as their donors will allow them. So should we try and pressure Biden to the left, which is a joke? Or should we hurt Jeff Bezos' quarterly profits?
Yeah.
Should we prevent them from their buying 3 more yachts? Because I will tell you, Graham, Bezos and these people, they're not blue or red, they're green. That's their ideology. So if they feel their green is threatened, they're going to tell their servants, the politicians, give them some type of UBI. Give them something. Give them more health care.
Stop that.
So, those are my thoughts, and we'll just see. But I'm going to continue what I'm doing, and I appreciate the intercept. I could have another discussion with you about corporate media, because I've had like Jen and I, with Status Quo, have had so many stories that in a sane world would be picked up, like, very quickly. And these corporate outlets just keep rejecting them. And unfortunately, we go to the corporate outlets because they have more reach than us at this point. But they keep rejecting and rejecting. I had this story. I brought it to a few places. They didn't see anything there. I talked to Ryan Grimm. Within 2 seconds, he's like, this smells really fishy. So, we need to do multiple things. A general strike, a corporate media strike. So get your rest during the holidays, folks, because we have a lot to do in 2021.
We got to boycott a lot. Jordan, tell everybody where they can follow you and Status Coup.
Yep, youtube.com/status coup. Unfortunately, they like to hide us in a cave. I'm sure you know about that.
It's a great cave, really nice Google cave that we're all in.
Yeah, so youtube.com/status coup, and we're at Status Coup on Twitter. And we are a membership-based independent reporting outlet, so you can become a member and support our in-the-field journalism, statuscoup.com/join.
Excellent. Jordan Chariton, thank you so much. Check out his article in The Intercept about the DNC cheating in their own primary. We'll have you back on the show, Jordan. Thank you for taking the time, brother. Have a great day.
You too, man. Thanks.